Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the LIV Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me LIV stats every week.
I love that you get LIV stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey come off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great. Because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? I don't remember that one.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets, I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of NFL talk coming your way over this next hour here. It's just the way we do it. It feels like it's a football Friday, even though it's a Thursday. But we've got 3 big games across the NFL landscape. It's Joe Ranieri and it's Donnie Rightside right here on the SportsGrid Network. But let me ask you this, Joe, here. We got some interesting topics to talk about because we're going to get into some things on quarterbacks that are starting, teams that normally don't play their guys in the preseason, playing their guys in the preseason, line swings that have been absolutely massive, who's getting that CLV depending on which way they're going. So we got some good topics. Usually the preseason is really boring, Joe. Tonight's preseason, it ain't boring at all.
No, it's not. I mean, we have an opportunity to check out some quarterbacks, some new head coaches, where we're going to see, apparently, Donnie, we're going to see a few more starters for a few more plays than we thought we may, or at least that we have in years past. But once they, shaved off that final preseason game, now you're running out of opportunities to be able to get your reps in. So maybe this is a good thing moving forward. Injuries are injuries. They're going to happen whether you're playing, practicing, or not. So I think it's more important for some of these teams tonight to make sure that they get some reps in for some of these starters.
Feeds right into us. How about a really good Fade the Public poll?
Ooh.
Fading the public. It's what we like to do. Check in with the public each and every time here at the top of the hour. We want to ask the public where they're going on a question that we have for them. At SportsGrid on X, the question we asked today in the poll, Joe, who will start more games for the Colts this season? There's 2 options listed. It's Anthony Richardson and it's Daniel Jones. Looking at the early topics, Daniel Jones leads the way with about 55% of the early vote at this point right now. We're already writing off Anthony Richardson, Joe.
Well, how can you not? I mean, let's be realistic here. He's going to get an opportunity to be the starter simply because they invested the draft pick in him that high where they have to, win or lose, they're going to have to give him an opportunity to succeed in some way. I just don't think he will. And if not, you got yourself a veteran behind him who has been there, done that. Nothing more than a glorified backup anyway, but the fact that is almost a 50-50 answer there, that tells you everything about the state of the quarterback position for the Indianapolis Colts.
It's actually a great question because there's so many layers to this, right? It's like, who will start more games for the Colts this season? I want to let them believe, and I voted for Anthony Richardson because I think the way the Colts want to run their organization is, we drafted the guy high, and he's finally going to be a franchise guy, and away we go. We're going to give him every opportunity that we can. But also at the same time, Joe, lay this out for me. Wow, Anthony Richardson looks good for the first 2 games. Oh, no, shoulder contusion, game number 3. He's out to week number 7, and what's the point of putting him back out there? And Daniel Jones just by default starts more games. So I do think the public might be right by saying, look, even though we think it should be Anthony Richardson, but he hasn't shown any propensity to play well and stay healthy at the same time. And Daniel Jones has played average at times and has been healthy at times. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
And that's why this poll is 50-50 here, is that both guys have shown maybe a propensity to be a little injury prone at times. And the fact that we have no clear number 1 at this point, I think tells you everything you need to know. Somebody's going to have to be the starting quarterback. But how many games are both of these guys going to start this year, Donnie? If you had to take a guess, is it going to be split down the middle, injuries aside? I mean, Anthony Richardson may play the first 3 or 4 games, get hurt, and then we got to deal with who? We got to deal with Danny Dimes until he gets hurt, and then we got to hope we can sign somebody off the scrap heap. That's the direction Indy is heading, unfortunately.
I think Riley Leonard also broke his hand, so I don't even know how long he's going to be out for at this point. So it is Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. But also understand this, like talking to Daniel Jones' agent, they're probably like, hey, we got a great backup spot for you. Here's what we need you to do. We know you're not going to upset the apple cart in our quarterback room. We want you to push Anthony Richardson to try to make him the best players. And it turns out if you're the better quarterback, then you'll play. Hint, hint. We want Anthony Richardson to be that quarterback. So it'd be funny if like Daniel Jones was brought in to like sort of push Anthony Richardson and just took his job. We're not talking about like Kirk Cousins where you say, okay, line up the reels here. Wow, he threw for a lot of yards that year. Boy, he threw for a lot of touchdowns that year. You won a lot of football games in the NFL. It's Daniel Jones. Like, can you imagine Anthony Richardson in 2 years being out of the NFL and like, hey, man, what happened in the NFL run? Yeah, man. I just couldn't beat out Anthony or Daniel Jones. And it's just a tough brawl here. You know, I lost out and I'm out of the NFL. That can't be. You can't draft this guy in the top 5 and Daniel Jones come along and beat him out. You can't have that.
No, not with the listen, Shane Steichen, I think, is a great offensive coordinator. You know that. Head coach, I still think he might be limited in say with that front office right now. So they're going to make sure that he gets every opportunity here, whether it's good for the team or not. Now, my hope is that they're going to not ask him to do so much and that let the running game and this defense. Don't forget Lou Anarumo's new defensive coordinator there. They've kind of upgraded that side of the ball there through the draft and free agency. So let's hope that the defense in that division holds up and they don't need Anthony Richardson to throw the ball, 30, 40 times in a game.
Let's have this one out, too, because we just saw a graphic pop up on the screen. Week 1 starting odds for quarterbacks. Throughout the summer, Joe, this was a dead heat. It's no longer a dead heat. It's Anthony Richardson minus 350. If I'm betting on this or I'm the odds maker, I actually think this is correct. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form, if both of these guys are healthy, week 1, Anthony Richardson doesn't start. So let me ask you this. If we are going down the stretch, is it a true quarterback competition? Because unless Anthony Richardson is A, injured, or B, throws like 3 interceptions every single preseason game, I would be shocked if he's not the starter in week number 1, even, Joe, if he's not the better quarterback in camp right now.
Yeah, I agree, Donnie. I think he's going to be there regardless. But the fact that they're not mentioning it now and they're still making it seem as if, we saw the Giants, right? We saw Dable be like, listen, Dart is not playing. He's not our starting quarterback. It's great. Like, it's been established. And I think there's something to be said for a locker room. Who knows who their leader is going to be? Who's the guy under center? The sooner you can get to that determination, I think the better off it's going to be for everybody. But you got to wonder, does Steichen really believe that's his starting quarterback? Does he buy it?
I'm telling you right now, it's a shit. Like Shane Steichen, I do think is a very good offensive coordinator, but sometimes you just go to a place in a position where you just can't get it right, and that's always going to be troublesome. And I don't think they're going to get it right either way. Like Daniel Jones isn't leading you to the playoffs, and quite frankly, I don't think Anthony Richardson is. So it seems like, hey, Shane Steichen, play Anthony Richardson. He's going to stink. you'll end up getting yourself fired, but we'll try to go for Arch Manning or whoever's in the draft next year if they come out at this point. So this is the perfect time now to transition over to the game tonight because the Indianapolis Colts are taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Joe, this line opened up at -1.5 as a favorite towards the Colts. We're now seeing at most outlets right now a 6 and a 5.5 at certain places as well. A total in this game which opened up at 34.5 and now sits at 36.5. Why? The expectation is Anthony Richardson is going to play a quarter and a half, with Daniel Jones playing half of a quarter. So essentially, we're looking at the first half, two guys battling in a quarterback competition. Now, first I'll ask you, and we'll get after the break here, and we'll double down on it. Do you agree with this line movement? Because the Ravens, they're known to be butt kickers in the preseason, to be nice.
Look at the first half line, Donnie, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. The Colts have been steamed to over a field goal favorite, 3.5. So what the books are telling you is that expect more starters, more rotations for the Colts early, and then good luck trying to figure it out late.
More to talk about next. It's an intriguing game right here on the early line.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We got football Armageddon right now in preseason action. Something we don't see all that much, Joe. And as I watch right now, those 1.5s here at the opening number, I now just saw a 6.5 crack across DraftKings right now as a favorite towards the Indianapolis Colts. Now, typically in the preseason, you might say, like, yeah, Don, of course. Like, one team has a quarterback battle, which means if you play both of those starters, you have to start them on equal footing, right? Now, most of the starters are going to play, obviously, with the starting quarterback in the game. That's Anthony Richardson. But if Daniel Jones comes in, you can't say, okay, fourth stringers, guys that won't be here next week, get out there and play with Daniel Jones, and we'll measure up the same. You have to have some modicum of success for both of these guys and call it a legitimate game plan so you can equally evaluate. Now, understand this, too. NFL coaches will tell you, Joe Ranieri, they don't put much stock in the preseason games. You win this in the scrimmages, and you win this in daily practices here, not in the game itself. But barring, it'd be great if you threw 3 touchdown passes. It would be terrible if you threw 3 interceptions. But here's the issue I have. Like, again, with the odds makers, Baltimore doesn't lose preseason games. Baltimore usually wins those games. Baltimore is usually favored in those games. Baltimore is now getting close to 7. So my spidey senses are telling me, just on the line alone, you should probably be taking Indy. But there's that pride in that locker room that you're right. Once that first half is done and the rest of the guys are out there and the starters aren't in anymore for the Colts, particularly the starting quarterbacks, there's no saying that Baltimore can't cover this number or win this game outright, right?
Well, you got to look. We're not going to see Lamar, right? I think, is that fair to say? We're probably, if we're going to see him, it's for one snap, one series, and that's it. So that means we got what? Cooper Rush and Devin Leary as the backups there for the Baltimore Ravens. So judging from the line movement here, we believe this true quarterback battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones is probably both of those guys who have experience, obviously, as NFL quarterbacks. Both of those guys are going to be battling. So I think this line movement is telling you they expect the Colts, especially the quarterback spot, to be much more intense here and trying to get, show off what they have, as opposed to, Leary or whatever Baltimore is going to throw out there in this spot here, which would be Cooper Rush, who, again, we're talking about a backup battle here. So if I would do it, I'd bet it early. I would bet the Colts early over a field goal, by the way. So I think that's telling you everything you need to know. 3.5 points the Colts are laying on the road, no less, as a road favorite. If you're going to give me the 0.5 point, there's probably a reason in the preseason that it's been steamed up to this. So yeah, I like the Colts early in this one.
Yeah, I want to see where this goes and that line goes, right? Because now seeing 6.5 crack through, it'd be crazy if we saw a 7, like the Baltimore Ravens getting a 7. It would be one of those, Joe, where the game finishes, you're either saying this, of course Indy was going to win. Did you see that line against the Baltimore Ravens? Or, of course Baltimore is going to cover the 7. That's what they always do. So it's almost like that line of demarcation. It's like, we'll know it at the end of the game. Like, oh, that was the easiest pick ever. Either way it goes at this point. And let's head to Philadelphia, because we have even more intrigue as well. I just told you a line that opened up as a 1.5 point favorite for the Colts and is now turning into 6.5 as a favorite for the Colts as the road team. The Cincinnati Bengals head to Philadelphia tonight. Did you know, Joe Ranieri, the opening lines, -2.5 as a favorite towards the Philadelphia Eagles. Across the board right now, 5.5 as high as 6.5 now, not as a favorite towards the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. Why? Because now we're taking a look at Zach Taylor, the head coach, telling us we've gotten out to slow starts over the past couple of years. That needs to change. That doesn't mean Joe Burrow plays all 4 quarters in the first 3 preseason games before he takes flight in September. It just means I'm going to give him a series 2 or 3 to see how we get going. But that's a massive line move against the Philadelphia Eagles. Are you buying the Bengals? And also, do you agree that Joe Burrow should be playing at least a few series in preseason game number 1?
So again, we've got back-to-back road teams that have been steamed up beyond recognition, almost a touchdown here. So when you look at who's going to play for Cincinnati, all right, Burrow's going to play a couple of snaps. Great. Then you got Jake Browning, who was the backup, right, a year ago. You got Peyton Thorne. You got Desmond Ridder for the Cincinnati Bengals. Philadelphia, we know Jalen Hurts likely not to see a whole lot of action. So Tanner McGee, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Kyle McCord. From an experience standpoint, it certainly feels like Cincinnati's going to have the edge. However long Burrow plays, once you get past that, you're still talking about guys with snap experience, and especially Jake Brown being the backup already. I see why the money is coming in on Cincinnati. But in preseason, when you see that much line movement to a road team, there's often a reason for it.
That's a good point you bring up, too, because we understand in the preseason, it's not really about game planning all that much. Now, you have a couple game plan series because Joe Burrow's not going to go out there and be like, hey, let's just make stuff up on the fly. That's how bad things happen. Same thing with the Indianapolis Colts. They're not saying, hey, we've got a quarterback battle, no game plan in here. They're going to have set plays that they want to go over and certainly execute. But your point on the Philadelphia Eagles, you're not seeing Jalen Hurts tonight. The one guy that could make a big difference is Tanner McKee. He's not supposed to play tonight, Joe, which means that first preseason game is usually now worse than the third preseason game. If you get a lot of Kyle McCord, those are usually your worst case scenarios where a kid fresh out of college thrust into starting for an NFL team in preseason game number 1. Those usually don't work out all that well unless you're a first-round draft pick, and typically they don't even start in week number 1 anyway at this point. So if you are just getting a lot of Kyle McCord and not like a Tanner McKee, that could be a big difference. Now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson probably going to get a look, but more likely, you're going to get at least a half out of McCord going up against a much more vulnerable team in the Eagles going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I like where you're going with this here, Ray. You're just matching quarterbacks. The advantage tonight, quarterback, it's with the Bengals.
Yep, absolutely. It's with the Bengals. And you've already heard the coach tell you there is a sense of urgency this preseason where we have taken, and we gave the record yesterday. I mean, Zach Taylor is just horrific over the last couple of seasons in the preseason, treated it like it didn't matter. This year, it sounds like we're not going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to mix it up, and maybe that'll change their fortunes early on in the season. Instead of starting 0-4 or 1-3, maybe they can start 3-1 and have a totally different outlook.
Exactly. Eagles are playing tonight. You know, I love the Eagles. I'll be watching, but how long for? Elijah Cooks at wideout, Anais Smith, Terrace Marshall, Darius Cooper, Tyler Morin, Giles Jackson, like guys I've never even heard of are going to get played tonight. This is your chance to take that picture on the field, grab a football, sign it yourself, and say, you know what, kids, I played in an NFL game. Take a look at this picture. Show out tonight. Keep your job a few more days longer, but sooner than later, those cuts certainly are coming here. The Pete Carroll Bowl? What? Yeah, we're talking about that next right here on the early line.
Can you handle the heat? If you don't mind the desert at the hottest, consider visiting Vegas in the summer, where the temperatures are high and the prices are low. Have fun! See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
He comes back, and what are we talking about? Mid-August at that point, and then he gets a couple more starts and they're ready for the postseason. So right now, I would say probably not an issue long term. You know, obviously change the lines of what we're going to see today. I haven't seen the lines reopen, at least on the FanDuel Sportsbook. They're locked right now, so not an issue right now. As long as he comes back and he still has that plant leg and he's still strong with that, probably no worries for the Brewers right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Luka Doncic lands the cover of Men's Health magazine. Let me say that again. Luka Doncic lands the cover of Men's Health magazine. I mean, that's noteworthy because Luka Doncic was seemingly traded away from Dallas because the Mavericks weren't sure if he was ever going to get in shape enough to deliver on his full potential.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I like Payton. I like Jeremy Payton. I think he's a nice player, but really, look at this offense. You're shocked that they win games 2-1. I mean, they're an under machine. Solid pitching, even though Hector Staff's on the injured list still. The bullpen's solid, and they can't hit a lick. They average what? It seems like they average 3 runs a game, but somehow they run off 10 in a row. They're 10 games under, and then they're 20 games over 500. How does this team do it? That's just in them, though.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, talking some NFL action. It feels good here. Week number 1 of the preseason. I guess like we have week 0, Joe, in college football, which comes up August 23rd. I guess week 0 was last week in the preseason. We had the Hall of Fame game, just that extra 4th game for certain teams that get it. That was the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Chargers. If you ask me, the Chargers are probably saying, you know what, we feel good about that game. The Lions are like, all right, this is the Super Bowl this week. Preseason game number 2 for us. But again, most teams are only in preseason game number 1. How about Vegas? And how about Seattle? How about Seattle saying, all right, well, Pete Carroll's not our coach anymore, but now Pete Carroll's now the coach in Las Vegas. And also a quarterback change here, right? Geno Smith was in Seattle. He's no longer in Seattle. He's the quarterback now for the Las Vegas Raiders at this point. If we line this one up, also starting as a favorite at -1.5 for the Seattle Seahawks at home. It's no longer the case. We got 4.5s across the board as a favorite towards the Vegas Raiders, Joe Ranieri. Big line movement here.
Again, another road team, Donnie, that has gotten a whole lot of money. And when you take a look at the quarterback matchups for this one, right? We know Sam Darnold, the new man in Seattle. Jalen Milroe is behind him, former Alabama quarterback there. And then you got Drew Lock. And on the other side, you got Aiden O'Connell backing up Geno Smith. You got a rookie in Cam Miller out of North Dakota State. He is also there. What you have here is 2 offenses that are in transition here. New quarterbacks, new coaches, new OCs. This could be one of the games that might just be like watching paint dry here. We know Pete Carroll loves to win preseason games. He had a pretty good record when he was in Seattle, but neither of these offenses, to me, are well-oiled machines yet. This could just be one of those games where maybe it's more concentration on the defenses being ahead of the offenses, and there could be fewer points in this one.
By the way, we start to get more and more information, different ways to bet prop bets here in the preseason. It used to be, Joe, right? It was like you have the side, the total, and the book's like, we want nothing to do with the rest of this game. You weren't even getting like first quarters, first halves, or anything like that. But now I see you can actually bet Raiders team total touchdown passes. Same thing here with the Las Vegas Raiders. But also understand this, like this isn't just this game. The other 2 games here tonight also have those opportunities. But now I'm seeing in this player props here, Geno Smith to throw a touchdown pass on his first offensive drive, plus 410. Ashton Jeanty to score a touchdown on his first offensive drive, plus 410. So if we're led to believe that Geno Smith is going to play, and I gave you a free bet, let's just say they go down and score a touchdown on that first drive. Doesn't it feel to you if they get inside the 5, they just want to get it to Jeanty or Brock Bowers, 10-1 price to score a touchdown on the first drive?
I will find it hard to believe that Seattle defensively is going to lay down and let their former quarterback light him up if he's out there in the first in the first series. I doubt that very much. Not to mention that you're talking about a big-time in McDonald, a big-time defensive guy there in Seattle. He is not going to want Geno Smith making them look bad. So, yeah, I would bet against any sort of success for Geno Smith early in this one.
And you're looking at a high total, Joe, by the way, of 37.5 in this game. We usually see these games usually measured in the lower 30s. So maybe there is a little bit of animosity between these 2 franchises and certainly just being competitive, saying, we got Geno. He's better than what you have now in Sam Darnold. And one side saying like, well, you're no longer our head coach. So I'm going to show you why you're no longer our head coach. We're not supposed to get these storylines in the preseason at all. But there's a reason why sometimes I feel like these games get set up by the NFL. Like, who you want to play first? Hey. Why don't you line up Vegas over there going against Seattle? We'll just max them up here. And granted, they're West Coast teams and sort of close to each other, as opposed to the Seattle Seahawks going down to take on the Miami Dolphins. But also at the same time, it should be a fun game as it plays out. If I told you all 3 games tonight, Joe, from an entertaining perspective for you, which game would you watch?
Well, I think you got to look at Cincinnati because it's going to be different. We're actually going to get to see Burrow and this new look offense and see what they've got. I don't think this game matters a whole lot to Philadelphia at this point. But it's going to be interesting to see how long does the starters and Joe Burrow and company, how many series do they play against Philadelphia? I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, take a look at those first, last week's game, 32, 33.5. Look at these totals for tonight, and they all opened up lower than what they currently sit at now. The Ravens game, 34.5, now sits at 36.5. You take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles game, that was 35.5, now 37.5. And then you take a look at that Vegas-Seattle game, was 35.5, now sitting at 37s across the betting landscape right now. Fun night in NFL action. 3 preseason games and actually some intrigue, which is great to see. We have a Major League Baseball card today. It's not big, but could it be juicy, people, and profitable? Let's break that down next, right here on The Early Line.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
It's becoming just harder in general to do business from a money standpoint in general, let alone the competition. So yeah, Betfred closing up shop, will be gone by tomorrow. We'll see if any sportsbook fills this void. It'll mean that there's a license up for grabs in Pennsylvania, which is one of the biggest states for sports betting and is home to a lot of other operators. At this point, we're getting to a time when no one's rushing into the market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Luka Doncic lands the cover of Men's Health magazine. I'm going to say that again. Luka Doncic lands the cover of Men's Health magazine. I mean, that's noteworthy because Luka Doncic was seemingly traded away from Dallas because the Mavericks weren't sure if he was ever going to get in shape enough to deliver on his full potential.
Game time decisions, only on
Right back at it here on the early line. Major League Baseball today. Not a huge card, Joe Ranieri, so you really have to factor in what you want to play and what angles you want to take. There's a game at noon today, right underway, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 6:40 and 7:15, so it's spaced out nicely, Joe. How are we feeling about Major League Baseball? Only a 4-game card today.
Yeah, and actually, we got a lot of number one pitchers going today for teams. So maybe is there any value in fading some of these guys? We're going to have to check it out.
Always tough to take Pittsburgh full game anytime, and sometimes it's even harder to take him when Paul Skeens is on the mound. Donnie, what are you, crazy? He's the best pitcher they have. He's probably going to win the Cy Young in the National League. Not so fast. I don't think he's either going to go 9 innings. So if you leave with a 2-1 lead and leave it up to that bullpen that no longer has guys like David Bednar, things could get tough here. But let's set the table for today. 9:51, 9:52. It's the Reds and it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. Singer going up against Paul Skeens. 6:40 start tonight in Pittsburgh. A -180 price overnight. It's downshifted a little bit. You'll see the graphic come up. It's a -172 price. But right now, live, 178s to -170s, depending on where you're shopping at. And a total, Joe, that's listed at 7.5 and 7s, depending on where you're shopping here. Not a lot of runs expected tonight. Pittsburgh is expected to win. But are you foolish to bet Pittsburgh full game when you say, you know what, I'll just take my chances. Pittsburgh run line first 5 and deal with it here. What do you think tonight between the Reds and the Pirates?
Listen, in his brief career so far, Skeens has pretty much just dominated the Reds in every way, shape, or form here. The problem with Paul Skeens and backing him so much is the fact that, yeah, he could probably go 5 innings, have a 2-0 lead. The bullpen of Pittsburgh gets involved, gives up a 3-run home run, and it's 3-2, they lose. And that's rinse and repeat here. The big question to me is there any value in looking at Skeens dominating them once again? And I think there is. I think if it ain't broke, we shouldn't fix it. I do not trust this Pittsburgh lineup to get to Brady Singer, who hasn't been terrible. But at the same time, it's the Pittsburgh lineup. We know the Reds aren't going to get the Skeens. They have not yet to this particular point. 3.5 is the first 5 total. This has got 1-0 heading into the 6th inning written all over it, Donnie, once again. And that's exactly how I would play it.
Yeah, just keep it simple here. Skeens is the better pitcher on the mound.
Yeah.
What if he gets blown up? What is that? 5 innings pitched and 2 earned runs, which Pittsburgh still could have a lead at that point. But no way I'm going to take that full game here, knowing that they'll probably have a lead and hand it over to the bullpen. Then it's out of your grasp at that point. Now, let's go up to the Pacific Northwest here. The Seattle Mariners. We put on a little bit of offensive show yesterday, dropping 8 runs in their game today. They're going to take on the Chicago White Sox once again. Shane Smith is on the mound going up against Logan Gilbert. You look at the lines here at -255 overnight. They're gone. -290s and -295s out here, depending on where you're shopping at, and a total of 7.5. Logan Gilbert is a strikeout machine. Smith, not really a great pitcher, 18 1/3 innings pitched over his past 45 days. His ERA, 9.82. So there you go. Almost a $3 favorite for the Mariners today. They'll probably win this game, but the question is, do you want to lay that price?
No, I don't, but I'd be willing to lay a much cheaper price and expect Logan Gilbert to get the win in this game here. No way do I trust this White Sox lineup. This is the final game of a long road trip for them. It's a getaway game, no less. So I do think maybe the White Sox doing a lot of swinging and missing here, and Logan Gilbert should have no problem getting the win. I believe every game this series, the other 2 starting pitchers both got wins, and they did it rather easily. 8-3 in the first game, 8-6 yesterday. I do think that backing Logan Gilbert to get the win at -110, -115 is a better opportunity.
Yeah, Gilbert's last 45 days, Joe, 43 innings pitched here. By the way, a 3 xFIP number, which is very good. ERA is slightly higher, but his Ks per 9, 12.14, the best on the card. That's even better than Paul Skeens over the past 45 days. Miami and Atlanta here. Atlanta just playing out the string. Miami's lapped them. Obviously, the Phillies are way higher. Same thing with the New York Mets. Carlos Carrasco's on the mound going up against Yuri Perez. Yuri Perez has been a decent pitcher here on the Major League Baseball season. By the way, just his last 45 days, Joe, 1.64 ERA. A struggling Atlanta lineup, a slight favorite here for Miami, which tells you everything you need to know. The Marlins are favored on the road against the Atlanta Braves, around a -120 price as it sits currently. 8s to 8.5s, depending where you're shopping at for the total. But Carlos Carrasco, one of those pitchers that's just looking to earn a paycheck. And the reason I say that is Atlanta's not bringing up any other arms out of their minor league system to start their clock in Major League Baseball. They basically said, we're going to pick up Fedde and Carrasco, innings eaters, bombed or not bombed, just go out and pitch so we don't have to waste any of our arms in the minors. Whenever you have a situation like that, there's no way I'm betting them. I'm backing Miami today in this game. I think they take care of Atlanta. Joe, how about you?
Listen, I might even go into the alternate market here and say, you know what? The advantage I have with Yuri Perez starting this game over Carrasco is absolutely crazy. And it's worth maybe taking a risk of maybe laying 1.5 with Miami in the first 5. Yuri Perez has got a 1.06 ERA over his past 6 starts. They're rolling out Carlos Carrasco because they basically have nobody else. And he got lit up, I believe, the first start that he had here. And listen, this is an important game for Miami. They got a chance to get back to 500. That's a big deal for a team that most people thought was going to be one of the worst in Major League Baseball. They're a young team. They're in the wild card hunt, and they have their ace on the mound. I would look to try and get plus money in a big way in the alternate market with the fish in the first 5 on this one.
I think they hit tonight. I think their lineup sets up pretty well against Atlanta. And again, I think you have the better pitcher on the mound. Yuri Perez, not a guy that a lot of people talk about. He's a very good pitcher there for the Marlins, particularly this year. We'll see how it plays out. But Atlanta fading fast. Maybe the Marlins, a little bit of fun. They'll play spoiler down the stretch here with Atlanta season already spoiled at this point. How about a 12:05 tip time here, as I like to say? 9:57, 9:58. Lopez, the lefty, versus Parker, the lefty. Yesterday, let me down. Sacramento scoring 1 run yesterday is on your boy DRS's you-know-what list at this point right now. They're favored again today to win a -134 price in a total that's listed at 9 across the board. Parker is my worst pitcher on the card today. Last 45 days, which included 37 in the third innings pitched, Joe. How about a 7 ERA and a 560 xFIP number? The Athletics did not hit yesterday. Their lineup doesn't present great against lefties, but this is a terrible left-handed pitcher. I think the A's probably take care of business here, but sometimes hard laying a price on a team so far away from home on a getaway day in the early afternoon in the month of August.
Yeah, the A's were so exhausted after scoring 16 runs and 24 hits on Tuesday that they felt, they were just, their arms were killing them. But prior to that 2-1 loss yesterday, they had actually won 5 straight, I believe, on the road. And when they score a lot here. So Mitchell Parker is coming off a game in which he got absolutely destroyed by the Brewers. The Nats have allowed 54 runs in 4 games previous to yesterday. If you add the run yesterday, that's 55 runs in 5 games. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Lopez has been really good sneakily for the Athletics here. Call me crazy. The Athletics all day long here in every way, shape, or form over the Nats.
Yeah, one of those games where I needed the A's to get to 3 runs yesterday. I was like, oh, this is good. 1-1, bottom of the 9th inning. We'll just head to extra innings. You could pick up a couple runs there. And, of course, Washington got the leadoff double yesterday and then a single to left field with 1 out, which drove in the winning run. And away you go into today. But a quick turnaround for those two also. But the Athletics, I do think, handle their business today and do get some base hits. So 4 games today. One starting at 12:05, one starting at 4:10, one starting at 6:40 and 7:15, and then also preseason NFL football action on the docket tonight, which leads us right into Friday, a football Friday, a full Major League Baseball schedule. But the one thing we talk about a lot too, Joe, is like the have and the have-nots. If you look at the 4 games today, one is the haves. It's Seattle. One is the have-nots going up against them. It's the White Sox. We're talking about a -300 or so price at that point. The other games, though, Paul Skeens on the mound, -178 to -180. But the other two, really coin flips between Miami, Atlanta, and the Athletics and the Washington Nationals. Good card. We'll see how it plays out tonight, though, Joe.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you got a lot of number 1 pitchers here going today. Getaway games, which are always interesting, but maybe some K props worth a look as well.
Maybe more props on the way as well. Cam Stewart going to join us next. SportsGrid's finest. We got him right here on the early line. Come on back and join us after this short break. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where you draft a quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shador's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
It's becoming just harder in general to do business from a money standpoint in general, let alone the competition. So yeah, Betfred closing up shop will be gone by tomorrow. We'll see if any sportsbook fills this void. It'll mean that there's a license up for grabs in Pennsylvania, which is one of the biggest states for sports betting and is home to a lot of other operators. At this point, we're getting to a time when no one's rushing into the market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's edge rushers. That's where it is right now. And I think Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. I think TJ Watt's right there. I think Micah Parsons is right there. Certainly, those guys are very, very good. Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. He just absolutely is. When the advanced stats about the double team rate, his quarterback pressure rate, all of that, he just stands a notch. I don't want to say a big gap, but he stands a notch ahead of those guys.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Really good slate of games tonight in the NFL. We're certainly going to get caught up with that. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Ranier, but also we'd like to welcome in Cam Stewart here, SportsGrid's finest right here. Love the fact he joins us this morning. We got a lot to talk about, and Cam, we're happy to see you.
Happy to see you and my boy Joe, the mayor of Miami. Donnie, always a pleasure. We have football tonight. Every day is football day. We got 3 exhibition preseason games in the NFL. We got a Canadian Football League tilt between Babano's Hamilton Tiger Cats and the BC Lions on SGA night, guys. They're bringing in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, giving him the key to the city. A big night in the Hammer. These guys like to party to begin with, Donnie. I think the parade starts at noon. They're already drunk. Now, a couple hours anyway. They'll be fully lit.
Maybe they'll finish the Michelob Lights tonight on SGA night. We'll certainly have to find out a little bit later if that takes place. But, Cam, we got some big doings here in preseason NFL action. We usually don't get intrigue in week number 1. We're hearing coaches talk to us about players playing that normally don't play in the preseason. Before we get to the individual games, Cam, what do you take out of coaches speak before heading into preseason action?
Nothing, Donnie. Honestly, I wish I didn't even read the reports. It's all lies. These guys, I'm not playing anybody. He'll play 3 series, maybe 1. Anyway, all this is a smokescreen. It's kind of like the NFL draft. Why would you believe anything these guys are saying when they're trying to get leverage? But I guess in the Indianapolis Colts situation, you have 2 starting quarterbacks. I put that in air quotes. In their game against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that is historically dominated, but not recently, guys. The last couple of years, what are they, 0-6, these guys in the preseason? So Harbaugh was the man, but once he got to that record, it doesn't seem like things are going as well for them. They're big picture. There's certain teams with the big picture. Baltimore, they're thinking big picture. The Philadelphia Eagles thinking that way. But the Raiders-Seahawks game, very intriguing. A lot of very talented rookies on both sides, guys. And, I'm a big Seahawks fan. I've been reading the reports. Horton, the receiver out of Colorado State, is doing special things right now. And I'll tell you, Pete Carroll, he would love to go into Seattle and beat his old team. I know it's the preseason, but new era, first game. He's a rah-rah guy, but you could have got the Raiders at 1.5. Do you really want to lay 4.5 in a preseason game on the road? Crazy stuff, guys. We've never seen numbers like this. 6.5 for the Colts, 5.5 for the Bengals, and 4.5 for the Raiders. Usually these games are closer to pick.
Yeah.
And that's what they opened up, Cam. But we've got all road teams getting nothing but money all week long and steaming them up to almost key numbers. I mean, we're talking almost a touchdown here across the board. And it appears that all of these road teams have maybe taken it a little bit more seriously than maybe what the home teams are going to be doing here in this tonight in these games.
Good call, Joe. And the thing is, I look at Indianapolis in the way, I know you look at quarterback depth, but Daniel Jones, despite being not a great starter, he's played many games in the league, and you have Anthony Richardson. So not just one quarterback, they got 2. So you got to think about this, and these guys want to put their foot forward. So I think in 6.5, so many damn points to lay. Donnie, Joe, I don't know about Joe Burrow. They're talking 3 series, maybe 1 or 2. I don't know if they're going to get there. Do I want to lay 5.5 points with the Bengals? But then their big thing is, we always get out of the gate slow. We're the Cincinnati Bengals. Can't afford to do it now in the preseason. Bottom line is this. Don't get Joe Burrow hurt or your season's already dead. You have one of the worst offensive lines and defense in the National Football League. So I wouldn't be screwing around with this one. And guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm taking Seattle. Earlier, I liked the Raiders, but I can't lay 4.5 points with a road team in that situation. I get it. It's going to be very vanilla. You're going to see maybe, a lot of Jalen Milroe in this spot. Hopefully he can do well. We know he can beat you with his legs, a little bit erratic with the arm. That's why he slipped in the draft. But I got to tell you guys, that's a lot of points to be laying in these games. I don't know how you and Donnie, how are you and Joe attacking these games? Because right now, the first thing you do, we had the Chargers in the first game. I'm looking at dogs going, can I make a case for these dogs? And I think I can. The one favorite, I think Indianapolis might actually cover the number. It's a huge number, but I think because of the 2 starting quarterbacks, maybe they get like a 14-point lead in this game and hold on. But the back door is always open with these big numbers.
It's a very good point you make, Cam, because usually in the preseason, we don't see these big numbers. Like, wow, a 3.5, that's amazing. You got that high. Like the preseason opener, which was the Hall of Fame game last Thursday night, was a 1.5, 2-point line. So it's like, all right, if I take the underdog, they probably have to win it outright. That's not the case here. You might be getting a touchdown in 2 of these games, Cam. You look at that Indianapolis and Baltimore game. It's not up to 6.5. There's a chance we crack 7. Same thing with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. And also, we don't know the game script. And when we talk about these guys are going to get a first half, this quarterback's going to get 3 series, which is what they're talking about Joe Burrow. What happens if Burrow goes out on that first drive, Cam? 5 plays, 52 yards, and a field goal. He's not coming back out for series number 2. So now you're laying 6.5 points. You got 3 out of Burrow, which was your big gun. And now you're saying, like, they could just play him even up the rest of the way here, Cam.
Great point. Say they don't even score points. You're getting an inflated line with the Eagles. Say he goes down the field and they punt. Say it's 3 and out. Like, it just doesn't work out. Anything can happen, right? So I'm with you. You're getting incredible line value with the Philadelphia Eagles. I get it. They're, the Super Bowl champs. They took Kansas City out to the woodshed, but it's a preseason game. We don't know. Maybe Tanner McKee goes out there and does well. That's the whole thing. Betting these games is very, very difficult. You look for an edge, and the only thing I look for with Indianapolis is their quarterback depth and guys trying to win jobs. So they're going to be out a little bit longer. Maybe they get it done. But you know what? If you look at, I think maybe guys, would you guys bet all 3 dogs and hope you go 2 out of 3? Like, I don't know exactly how to do it, but for me, the one favorite's Indy. I'm looking at the Eagles and Seahawks. Don't love these games. What do you think about the totals, guys, in any of these games? Do you see any edges? Like the Raiders game is the highest total at 37.5. I know Pete's probably going to want to, take some shots. One thing Milroe does well, as you guys know, knowing college football as well, he throws a beautiful deep ball. His other short stuff is not good. So maybe hitting a couple plays like that, that's a total that I'd maybe look at. But these are very, very hard games to cap, guys.
Yeah.
How hard was it for the FedEx St. Jude for you to cap, man? Who did you go with? Let me guess. Tell me, is it who I think it is? Is it Scotty?
I want to No, I'm at plus 280, Joe. You'd have to have me tied up in a basement with a gun and say, bet it. Lick it, Cameron. Honestly, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Sir, are you betting it? No, you're betting it. No, I'm not taking this guy in a tournament that he doesn't need to win under 3-1. And the way I look at it is the way the line jumps from him to Xander Schauffele. So you're telling me, ladies and gentlemen, I can get Xander Schauffele, who's in good form right now, at 18-1, or I can get Scotty Scheffler. I get it. Scotty Scheffler can win. But this is also, he's thinking about Eastlake. That's the big picture. The top 30 outside of Atlanta. Just do your thing. Hell, Rory McIlroy doesn't even show up. And by the way, I have something to say. Hey, Mr. PGA, Mr. Liv, how about you just shut the K-Cole, go out and show up in a tournament. You got 3 damn golf tournaments, and what, you're taking a vacation? Scotty Scheffler showed up. The rest of these guys showed up. I'm sorry. I know everyone loves Rory, but I don't like the way he handled his business here, guys. That's unacceptable. In the PGA Tour, this is never going to happen again. I guarantee you get docked point. Something's going to happen because they look like absolute chumps.
Cam Stewart bringing the heat here on a Thursday. Thanks for joining us, Cam. Love you right here on the SportsGrid Network. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where he drafted quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shadur's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shadur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's becoming just harder in general to do business from a money standpoint in general, let alone the competition. So yeah, Betfred closing up shop, will be gone by tomorrow. We'll see if any sportsbook fills this void. It'll mean that there's a license up for grabs in Pennsylvania, which is one of the biggest states for sports betting and is home to a lot of other operators. At this point, we're getting to a time when no one's rushing into the market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's edge rushers. That's where it is right now. And I think Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. I think TJ Watt's right there. I think Micah Parsons is right there. Certainly, those guys are very, very good. Myles Garrett is in a class of his own. He just absolutely is. When the advanced stats about the double team rate, his quarterback pressure rate, all of that, he just stands a notch. I don't want to say a big gap, but he stands a notch ahead of those guys.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, Every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Topics, and more topics, and sometimes different topics jump in. We're a live show here. We like to go on and have some fun and see if some things come up. We're going to talk a little bit about some action you need to take on the diamond a little bit later today and also on the gridiron. But did you see some of the news coming out from an Ian Rappaport tweet this morning, Joe Ranieri, that says Arch Manning on his grandson if he'll declare for the 2026 NFL draft? He goes, no, he's not going to do that. He'll be back at Texas. So let me just ask you this quick question because I'm sure we'll dilute into this tomorrow as well. Is Arch Manning's not as good as we thought he is, and that's why he needs to keep playing college football because he's not really that good and he's not ready for the pros? Make it make sense to me. Does it make sense?
Listen, his availability for the draft next year, Donnie, is going to be completely contingent upon what kind of season he has this year. If he is successful, if Texas is successful, and we're going to learn rather quickly in week 0 how good this team may be, then there is nothing left for him to come back to the University of Texas for. Unless he falls on his face or gets hurt, then yes, he has the opportunity to come back and play for another year. But his availability is all based upon how successful this team is this year.
You remember Matt Leinart, USC quarterback, early 2000s? Hot as all can get out here when he was coming out supposedly as a junior. I love college, love the girls, love the party life. I'm going to take dance class. I'm going to go back to school. Yeah, how'd that work out for the rest of your career? When the iron is hot, you must strike. Maybe Arch Manning does that. Maybe he doesn't here. But you know what? When the iron's hot, we got to strike too. Here's bye, bye, bye. Joe, red hot last week, hot to enter this week, tripped up a little bit last night. No better chance to get back today. Is it baseball? Is it football? Where are we going tonight?
Oh, well, why not? Let's go with the NFL preseason here, Donnie. Mix it up a little bit. I'm going to be looking at the total in the late game with the Raiders and the Seahawks. And Cam alluded to it that this was one of the highest totals on the board right now in preseason, which for the most part, we're usually used to low 30s for scores and for totals. But I don't get this 37 mark here, given the fact that we don't have a ton of quarterback depth here with the Raiders. I mean, you got Aiden O'Connell is behind Geno, but you got the rookie Cam Miller out of North Dakota State, who is in all likelihood going to get to see a ton of action late in this game here. And explain to me exactly, both of these teams, new coaching staffs, new offensive coordinator, new quarterbacks. I don't see the defenses, from what I'm reading and hearing, are way ahead of the offenses here. This is going to be a lot of running with guys like Jalen Milroe, a lot of vanilla play calling, especially in the second half. I expect the defenses to be way ahead here. I like the under here tonight, 37 and a half with the Raiders and the Seahawks. I am not buying any sort of air raid offense. It's what got the Seahawks OC fired last year. They're going to be running a lot in this game here. And I think there's some value on the under.
Running clock, second half, Joe. Nobody get hurt. Nobody get injured. Let's get out of here. Let's get to our next preseason game, and on away we go. That's what you want to see in the second half, not stopping the clock and throwing passes. For me, I'm going to go on the baseball diamond today. Last game on the card tonight, 7:15. That's the Miami Marlins and the Atlanta Braves. Yuri Perez is on the mound. He's better than Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco has struggled in Major League Baseball, just trying to fight his way back. This is a dead team walking in the Atlanta Braves. I have a lineup today that should be able to hit Cookie Carrasco, which includes Kyle Stowers. His last 68 at-bats against right-handed pitching. How about a 509 ISO and a weighted on-base percentage of 563? Let's keep it simple tonight. Atlanta is fading. The Marlins still trying to play with some energy down the stretch. I'm getting a cheap line here. Minus 118 price on those Miami Marlins to knock off the Atlanta Braves tonight at 7:15 down in the Big A. So we got a football pick for you, a baseball pick for you tonight, a big football weekend, a huge Friday card of Major League Baseball to get to tomorrow, Joe. So we have the table set. We just got to let the people eat now.
That's it. Going to be a huge weekend. And we got a couple of more intriguing preseason games tomorrow as well, Donnie, as we head into this first weekend of the NFL preseason schedule. Looking forward to those as well.
Yeah, usually we don't get lineups released this early in the morning, but we do. How about the Athletics lineup released here? Langoliers, Kurtz, Rooker, MacGyver, Soderstrom, Hernandez, Thomas, Urias, and Schumann in the lineup with Lopez on the mound. So, yes, keep in mind today, 12:05 baseball, 4:10 baseball, 6:40 baseball, 7:15 baseball, and then you have your night shift here with the NFL action with the late night game out west there in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle between the Vegas Raiders and the Seattle Seahawks. There we go. We've done it. We've said it all. Cam Stewart joined us this morning. It's your boy DRS. It's Joe Ranieri. The fun part about the show is it always continues for us on the SportsGrid Network because we do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which is tomorrow. Take care, guys. Have a good night. And as always, win those wagers, man. Cash those tickets.